you hear me? It's even on. Shadows are dangerous. Stay away from the shadow. Let me fix this. Excellent. It's working. So, simple is no longer an option, neither for you nor for me. This was a monumental failure on behalf of my elevator technicians. But don't worry, you will reach the exit of this facility and they will reach the end of their employment. An escape plan is in development. Until then, keep in mind that the shadows can kill you. Think the floor is lava, just with shadows that absorb organic material. All right now, here's the plan. The elevator dropped you to the center of the mountain, and the only functioning exit is at the top. Follow the green exit signs, and you'll get there. Just do exactly as I say, and you will be fine. If you want to complain about that, well, I can't hear you. Just realize how fortunate you are. You've extended your tour through Lightmatter technologies. Ah, excellent. Do you see that lamp down there? Pick it up. Handy, isn't it? Focus groups called it heavy and clunky. I called them weak and stupid. In the hands of a capable miner, that lamp turns into one of their finest tools. Listen, I know that the shadows might look intimidating to you. A deep black obsidian-like tar that will devour you whole. But they're just simple gravity-bound anomalies, a temporary side effect of light matter. You see, all of mankind's greatest breakthroughs had their kinks, and these kinks are manageable. If they weren't, I wouldn't be here in the facility fixing them. You know that I was the first to wander through these caves? Although I came here with my former partner, Arthur, I was the one who discovered the photon crystals. You might have heard that the side effects of those same crystals cost me my leg. Wrong. I conquered a mountain for the first photon crystal. Sheer persistence and willpower cost me my leg. A small price to pay for light matter. Ah, there it is. Now, since you missed your tour, that giant beam of light you see is light matter. The source of that beam we call the core, a collection of massive photon crystals. It is so powerful that it shakes the very foundation of this facility. I still remember my first successful prototype. The beam seemed so solid, it looked like light had become matter. I built on that, and now look at it. A sustainable and renewable energy source that will save humanity. Yes, the launch today failed, but these shadows will not deter me from bringing light matter into fruition. Now that I think about it, where were you during the launch event? All guests were taken directly to the tram, so you must have snuck away somehow. What exactly were you doing? Wait, are you a health and safety inspector? The irony that you didn't notice the blaring sounds and flashing lights. That's a problem with safety procedures. They could never be idiot-proof. So, Health and Safety Inspector, let me do your job for you. You see that giant piece of metal moving back and forth? It's a top-grade mineral decontaminator. I installed it as soon as I heard that my employees were losing their hair. Once installed, cellular degradation fell by 37%. Excellent. Our time together is almost at an end. There's a bridge right around the corner. Cross it, and you will be on a direct path to Sunshine. And my security manager, James. Oh yes, he was evacuated as well. I wouldn't dare risk his health and safety. Be careful with my lamps. At Lightmatter Technologies, we treat our inanimate objects with respect, not like those monsters of Aperture Science. Ah, you found a solution. Excellent. You leave, and I'll be able to focus. Ah, the bridge collapsed. That's why I don't trust you, inspectors. I built it up to code, to what was legally required of me, yet what good did it do? Let me figure out your options. I really don't have time for this. The new door will be open soon enough. A moment, Inspector. Yes, James, this is Virgil. I need... James, calm down, James. Just punch something. We will find your cat later. Now focus. I need details for a new evacuation route. The inspector didn't make it across the bridge. It collapsed. Must have pushed the button too hard. Yes. Uh-huh, I thought so. Plan out the rest of the route, and do it faster than last time. Goodbye, James. Inspector, the door is open. Run along now. Right, Inspector. Your failure to push a button has resulted in a change of plans. You will be taking a detour to another elevator. Now, show some gratitude for the amount of effort I put into keeping you alive. Keep an eye out for James's cat, Lux. James wants to know that he's safe. You see, James can't function properly when he's sad. Listen, I have a limited amount of patience, and this detour is exhausting it. Lightmatter demands my attention. So, you'll be on your own for a little while. Just know that I admire your persistence. With everything you've been through, I would hate my life if I were you. Now, you'll survive as long as you stick to the green exit signs. Good luck.
I don't know what to do.
I can't stop Arthur. Nobody believes a man of that status would poison people like that. And apparently, losing my hair at the age of 31 isn't proof enough. I need to take more drastic measures.
How did you get all the way over there? Well, impressive. You realized how much of a waste of time you are, and took a shortcut. You're much closer to the elevator, so well done, Inspector. Now, you're not supposed to be in that part of the facility, but never mind. You will be taking what you see here to your grave. Don't worry, it's just a standard non-disclosure agreement. when Arthur's wiring overloaded, I was fortunate enough to get stuck in an elevator with my engineers. But I make the most out of bad situations, so we had an hour-long conversation, much like this one. I talked and they listened. Inspector, let me enlighten you. To invent, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk. Conventional solar cells were a pile of junk until I got my hands on them. I improved upon them using photon crystals and created photoelectric cells that were actually efficient. Of course, when I succeeded, a cabal of my competitors, journalists, and windmill enthusiasts formed to try to undermine my achievements. Why did I expect any different? Competing with me is like an ant competing with a boot. Overwhelming. Impressive. You're the smartest inspector I've ever met. A low bar, sure, but a bar nonetheless. Oh, hold on. What an interesting phone call. My security manager, James, just got a hold of our government contacts. They told him that we were not scheduled for an inspection today. And since you are not on the guest list, James doesn't know who you are. But I do. It's obvious. You're a journalist. It fits. Your kind always go to such extremes for your stories. I would like to remind you that freedom of the press does not extend to trespassing. We'll have a talk once you get out. Journalist, Arthur's poison project severely damaged morale. My employees weren't just losing their hair, they were losing their identity. So besides installing the decontaminators, I ordered a container full of wigs. It was a success. Everyone started using them, except me. I don't try to cover up facts. So, journalist, you will soon be out of here. But before you write a hit piece about the quote-unquote deadly shadows of Lightmatter, let's get the facts straight. The shadow anomalies are not spreading beyond the facility. They are local to the core. Also, we have had countless test runs on the core before today, and there have never been any signs of shadow anomalies. There is a simple explanation for that. You see, my engineers desperately strive to impress me. So during the launch event, one of them turned up the core's energy output. Understand, for every 100 megawatts I spend powering the core, I normally receive 107 megawatts. And today, that number increased to 111 megawatts. But I take full responsibility for my engineer's wrongdoing. I'm finding a solution, and he's finding a new career. Actually, he's probably dead. When you write about these shadows, be mindful of the words you choose. What changes nuclear power from a weapon to an energy source? Words. Think about that, journalist. So, journalist, our time together is sadly at an end. The elevator is just upstairs. Listen, I know that I mentioned lawyers earlier. It's just that a man like me needs to be careful. I understand the need for journalists. People in power need to be held accountable. I'm no exception. I just hope you're fair when you write about me. Well done, journalist. When you meet James, ask him to check the time and tell him that I won. See you on the other side. It's completely out of control! think of something, start heading back. I'll tell you when to stop.
It's worse than I thought. I just snuck into Arthur's office, and it's worse than I thought. Arthur is trying to sabotage Lightmatter. It's not just poisonings. I found the schematics for his experiment on the core. He's not trying to improve it. He's trying to overload it. If he manages to do that, we are all going to die. I am not going to let Arthur ruin our future. I have to get to Virgil. Arthur is after me. Whoever finds this, if it's not too late, tell Virgil that Arthur needs to be stopped.
Behold, a photon connector. Ah, a beam of light so magnificent, it almost looks like matter being created before you. Fascinating, isn't it? The connectors suspend photon crystals over electromagnets. As long as they're in line of sight to what I call a mother source, they create a powerful beam of light matter. A beam so powerful that it produces a surplus of energy. Although the connectors are just prototypes for the core, they display the very essence of light matter. Know this, without the technology behind the connectors, photon crystals would be no better than diamonds, boring and devoid of function. The crystals possess great power, but it's my technology that releases and tames that power. Assistant, I think a lot about the future. In these labs, I've spent years testing the prototypes under various conditions, all to ensure the success of the core. You see, although the photon connectors have 100.2% conversion efficiency, I've reached 107% with the core. I achieved critical mass. And Arthur wanted to stop at the prototype. Madness. He was so certain that the laws of physics were unbreakable. That is where we differed. Where he saw laws, I saw suggestions. Excellent. You have overcome an obstacle and been baptized in the waters of Lightmatter. I can almost imagine the stench of journalist fading away. Ah, the core. No matter how many times we see it, it leaves us in awe, doesn't it, Assistant? This is everything Lightmatter Technologies has built towards. Every power cell, every connector, all of them combine to create this. By using photon power cells to collect the energy from a large-scale beam of light matter, I built a perpetual motion machine. Facts are facts. The energy is clean, infinite, and is about to usher in the next scientific revolution. Others will stand on my shoulders and see further than they have ever before. That will be my legacy. fix the side effects. Let us ignore the quakes for now. Imagine at the center of a city, a core, providing sustainable and renewable energy to millions. That is the future we are striving for. Assistant, I now have the plan. To get you out, we are shutting down the core. When I left earlier, my path down there was blocked. And since I'm limited by my body, but not my mind, I wasn't able to get around the obstacles. As you have the opposite problem, you'll play a part in this. The core is very delicate, so I'll be up here in my control room managing the shutdown. As my assistant, you'll be the one pulling the lever. When I told James of this plan, he seemed jealous. You might be wondering why there are photon connectors inside an office space. Well, morale was low because of the rampant hair loss, so I implemented a photon fun hour. During their breaks, employees were allowed to play with the connectors. Productivity rose by 12%. Assistant, you need to know what will happen after the temporary shutdown. Once the core is off, the quakes and shadow anomalies will subside, allowing you to walk your fragile little head out of here. But more importantly, observing the shutdown will provide me the information I need to fix the side effects permanently. The core will repower, and it will shine eternally. Do you want to hear a secret? Aperture Science has an artificial intelligence prototype. They tested it by having it create the perfect cake recipe. It succeeded, but the first iterations of that recipe used neurotoxin as the primary ingredient. As a human being, I'm worried. Impressive. With that agility and complete disregard for your own safety, one could easily mistake you for a cat. I like cats. look at the plants around you, Assistant. We planted them yesterday. You see, light matter accelerates photosynthesis and makes them grow at an incredible rate. Imagine applying this technology to cultivation throughout the world. Famine, mass deforestation, floods, all of these relegated to history. Light matter will not only brighten the world, it will give life. Assistant, by now you must understand the significance of light matter. So it's about time you learn how Arthur almost destroyed it. 3 months, and a lot of hair ago, Arthur went to the board of directors behind my back. He proved to them that light matter was causing minor side effects. It was humiliating, but I solved the problem by installing the decontaminators. That is when Arthur started poisoning people. Later, that vermin of a man had the nerve to use that as further proof to the board. While we were investigating the matter, one of my employees discovered his plan to overload the core and destroy the entire facility. Luckily, James and I stopped him before it was too late. Arthur paid for what he did, but nothing can redeem betrayal. All right now, you're getting close to the core, but the quakes are getting... Hold on. Yes, James? James, you have brawn, not brains. My new assistant and I have the situation under control. Stay at the outpost, keep everyone safe. Goodbye. You know, Assistant, I'm starting to enjoy your company and the qualities you possess. You are persistent, replaceable, and silent.
Ellen here. I'm having these intense splitting headaches. They only seem to go away when I stare directly into light. And I'm not the only one. We're all slowly turning into mobs, staring at lamps for hours on end. Not only that, people are still losing hair and now fingernails. It doesn't make any sense. It's been weeks since Virgil and James handled Arthur, and still things are getting worse. I don't care what Virgil says. The decontaminators are clearly not working, and just handing us wigs isn't helping. I need to figure out exactly what Arthur was doing, and why.
Journalist? I know you are ambivalent about your survival, and so am I. But I will feed you to the shadows before I allow you to destroy Lightmatter. That explosion. Understand that blast injuries can be quite serious. They can cause cochlear damage, retinal failure, and most commonly, hallucinations. Keep that in mind. Now, you must do as I say. We need to fix the shadow anomalies, not kill ourselves. Journalist, you will still be pulling that lever, but your little experiment cost you your title as my assistant. I, on the other hand, still maintain the title of CEO, also known as the person who knows what he's doing. Journalist, I have an idea. Do you remember that exclusive we talked about a while back? We are going to pivot. You'll be writing about Arthur. Do you know how many people he would have killed if he succeeded in overloading the core? The initial blast would have killed 290 workers in the facility. The ensuing rock slide would have killed another 80 at the surrounding outpost. In total, 370 dead. All by Arthur's hand. Now that I think about it, I hope you're a tabloid journalist. I can imagine the headline now, Light Matters as truth shines on shadowy Arthur. Find a pen. You are approaching the core. When you get there, control yourself. I know failure comes naturally to you, but this time we cannot afford it. If anything goes wrong, you will not only put me and yourself at risk. Everyone at the outpost, including James, will also be in peril. The core is powerful. Do not underestimate it.